I'm Thomas Eliot. This is Professor Pugnacious, my first game. It's a steampunk deck building game. This here is an uncut sheet of cards, what it will actually look like when it's made. These are just the prototype that I made a year ago. The original idea came from just sort of wanting to have a deck building game that was more interactive than most of the deck building games, which are, like, some people have described it as like a race to see who can play solitaire the fastest. Should I look directly at the camera, or sorry? Okay, you've probably heard of Magic the Gathering, which is a collectible card game. With a collectible card game, a lot of the fun is building your deck before you actually start playing the game. So in a deck building game, all of the cards that you need are in the one box that you buy, and then part of the mechanic of the game is building your deck, and then also simultaneously using it to do things. I was like, okay, interactive. Let's have, like, you know, people like fighting things and messing each other up. So in this game, everybody starts out with the same identical starting deck. I was like, okay, people fighting things, what genre should that be? And I really grew up with like Dungeons and Dragons as my main game. So to me, the default genre that my mind goes for with games is like D&D, the adventuring party in a dungeon. And then when I started thinking about it, I was like, there's already a lot of stuff like that, and that doesn't necessarily fit the mechanics the best. Like, there could be other things that are good.
It's probably a bad idea for me to take on the wyvern, isn't it?
Yes, and it's actually called a ghostly hound nowadays. I like steampunk stuff, so steampunk heroes versus gothic horrors is the theme. In this, there are 3 resources that you're going to be acquiring: skill, fight, and failure. Skill you use to get more cards. Fight you use to defeat these monsters and gain experience points. The player with the most experience points at the end of the game is the winner. Failure you use to make the other players lose their fights against the monsters. Yeah, the demo cards that I had there, which were printed off of the computer and then also handwritten on top of them. During playtesting and everything, a lot of stuff underwent revision, including like the names of cards have changed a whole lot.
Hence
all the pencil marks and everything. Yep. And even these printed off versions are have already undergone a whole lot of revision before I printed them off. The early versions were purely written by hand. Even those are not the first demo copy, the first playtest copy. Originally it was literally just scraps of construction paper that I wrote on. Turns are taken simultaneously. So the turn is divided up into a few phases. First is play cards. You play whatever cards you have in your hand. Usually you're going to play all of the cards that you get. Sometimes you might not want to play one, like this one. If you play it, you can't fight this turn, so you might decide it's not worth it and you don't want to play it. I went through a whole lot of iterations of that, and eventually I was like, okay, I've got something solid enough that I can send it to other people to play test, and that's when I put it on the computer. And then it still got revised a whole lot after that, and that's what all the handwritten notes are. After play cards is buy cards phase. You can buy from the 5 cards that are in front of you here, or this greater skill or greater fight. Those are always available.
That 3, I'm guessing, is that's the amount of skill that it costs.
Yes.
So obviously it's not buying the skill or the fight for that turn. It's buying it for.
Yeah, it goes into your discard pile.
Come back
and
later.
then when you run out of cards in your deck, you shuffle your discard pile and turn it over, and it becomes your deck. So the first few turns are just, you can't really fight very much. You're just going to be buying more things to build up your deck so that you'll be able to do better later.
Okay.
Then after that is combat. In the combat phase, you pick one of these 5 enemies to fight, and then first everybody picks an enemy, and then you're locked in. You cannot change your mind. Afterwards, everyone distributes the failure they have. So for example, if I have 6 fight, I say, all right, I'm going to fight this Banshee. And then it's like, you have a failure and you have a failure, and you're going like, hey, let's team up to make Thomas lose. So I have 6 minus 2 is 4, and I would lose against it. These are adversaries. When you defeat them, they go away, and you draw a new card to replace them. These 2 are different. Clockwork Abomination is the finale. If you beat it, the game ends.
Okay.
Training Dummy, if you beat it, it doesn't give you any experience points, but you get to trash a card. Which means remove a card from your deck permanently.
Yep.
So the cards that you start with are not very good, so you want to get rid of them.
Yep.
That's the only way to trash cards. the three most helpful playtesters have definitely been Allison Ray, who's I played like hundreds of games with her, and she was as much a co-designer as possible on the game, pretty much. Mark Barrell, who's a friend of mine, who is the guy who made the PDF, really helpful, gave a lot of useful feedback. And Zvi Moshevitz, who's a professional Magic the Gathering player that I'm friends with, who is like really, really good at card games, obviously. And he ran a playtest in New York that had a lot of people go to it, and he gave me like really awesome feedback on the game, and it really improved it. Like I got like 80% of the way done before that, and then his feedback got me the remaining 20%. We rotate the card ring, which means you take the leftmost card in your card queue and put it on the right of the card of the player to your left. See? So the cards that are available to you change every turn. I sort of like the idea of a deck building game where there isn't the like Dominion style set pool where like everyone can like always get whatever they want. I like the idea of the changing things, but I wanted to see if I could do it in a way that was more deliberately interactive, where you make deliberate choices as to how to affect what other people have available. This game is for 2 to 4 players.
Yep.
Because turns are taken simultaneously, the more players there are, the quicker the game goes. The game ends when somebody defeats the Clockwork Abomination, or when this deck runs out, or when this deck runs out. In Ascension, there's 5 cards in front of you that you buy from, but it's the same 5 cards for everyone. And so if it's like a 4-player game, and you're like, okay, I see these 3 cards that I want to buy, or like these 3 cards where I just want to buy one of them, then like the odds are by the time it's your turn, so we rotate the card ring.
Damn it, I wanted that card.
They're gone. I kept going, I want to be able to plan my turn before it's my turn, and like so I don't have to start planning when it's my turn, because that makes it a lot slower, and I don't like the feeling of coming up with ideas and then not being able to do them.
So buying cards, is it only 1 purchase per turn?
No,
or
you
is
can
it...
buy as many cards as you can afford.
Okay.
However, you can only fight 1 enemy per turn.
Right.
It should be widely available, definitely in the United States, hopefully in Australia, hopefully in Europe, but no promises. It should also be available online, so to buy. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, go buy Professor Pugnacious when it's in stores.